Anuradha, are you there?
I don't think Anuradha is there. I
Okay,
haven't
so
seen the name.
okay, then it would be Arfi Begum. Arfi,
Arfia.
Arfi is there. Okay, now it's Arfi's turn. Other students are requested to ask questions. You listen to carefully what the presenter is presenting, and you should ask them questions. Maybe some technical problem is there in case of RFE. Then it will be Kadbostre's turn. Kadbostre, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now it's your turn. RP, I will call her later on, and even Anuradha also, I will tell her later. So now you can present.
Okay, ma'am. Will I have to share my screen?
Okay, you can share the screen.
Okay, ma'am. 1 minute.
If you want, you can share the screen.
Is it visible to everyone, ma'am?
Yeah, it's your screen is visible.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, in this virtual platform of webinar presentation of English Department of Sipsara Girls College for the particular department semester, sixth semester. As being a student of sixth semester, I would like to present my webinar or my assignment on the Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn as a picaresque novel. The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn has been labeled as a picaresque novel. A picaresque novel is an adventure story that involves an anti-hero or picaro who wanders around with no actual destination in mind. The picaresque novel has many key elements. It must contain an anti-hero who is usually described as an underling or subordinate with no place in society. It is usually told in autobiographical form. It is potentially endless, meaning that it has no tight plot, but could go on and on. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn has also molded itself perfectly to all the essential elements of a picaresque novel. Huck Finn is undeniably the Picaro, and the river is the method of travel as well as the way in which he wanders around. As we know that it should be written in autobiographical form, we can see in the novel that Huckleberry Finn himself, as a first-person narrative, describes his story. It is quite similar to autobiographical form. This novel also follows the adventures of a lower-class rough around the edges, which exposes the hypocrisies of the society he lives in. Which Tom Sawyer references in Huck incorporates many elements of the Spanish picaresque. Huck is a naive, innately moral character, navigating a racist, hypocritical society, making him a model picaro. One of the first events that cast Huck as a picaro is the entrance of Huck's father, Pep. Twain could have just left Pep out and just let the reader know that Huck was an orphan. But by bringing Pep return to Huck's life, it creates a stronger picture of what Huck is coming from. It illustrates that he is coming from illegitimate family background, which is an important characteristic of a rogue in a story. True to the concept of a customary picaresque hero, he makes his revulsion with society quite evident and wishes to live by his own standards. And often he is adopted by widow Douglas. Another element of white society that he distrusts, he hungers after freedom, physical as well as spiritual, from the fetters of what he considers the bestness of human beings to the society. Another key elements of Pica's novel is wonder. Huckleberry Finn is also epitome of wonder. From the very beginning of the book, uh, when he has been taken in by widow Douglas, he still sneaks out the window around and sleep in the woods. Huck's preference for sleeping in the woods instead of bed represents not only Huck's uncivility and refusal to conform, but also introduces us him to as a wanderer, a key element in Picard's. Picard's stories also typically have an episodic structure that follows the hero through a series of discrete events. The story of Huck and Tom's journey down the Mississippi River develops over course of a loosely connected series of adventures, beginning with the pair's time on Jackson Island. However, Huck deviates from the genre in that Huck evolves over the course of the novel as he wrestles with his conscience and develops empathy for Jim, making him a more complex character than many traditional Picaros. Huck goes on with his life. The quest for his most sought after the sole purpose is to draw attention to quality of life in this so-called refined society. The selection from the novel strongly expresses that Huck will not conform to society and confirm his root as a scoundrel, stating that that is all he will never be. But in the same passage, the mood is cast for you to feel good about Huck's declaration of independence of being reformed. This is the basis of what Picard's tale is. Huck is consistently shown as the mischievous hero through his dialect and reader's ability to have an omniscient view into the thoughts of Huckleberry Finn. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am? Ma'am?
Okay, Kaibusri.
Yes, ma'am?
Okay, so you have completed. Suddenly, I had some problem, so I had to leave. So now,
Okay, ma'am.
we do not want to ask you question now as teachers. So we
Mhm.
will give you our comments later on. But for your fellow participants, for the students, if somebody wants to ask question, they can ask. Anyone from the students? From your fellow participants? Okay, if nobody is going to ask question, then the next one will be Namrata Kashyap. Namrata, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's Namrata's done then.
Yes, ma'am. Can you give me 1 minute?
Okay. You want to share the screen?
Actually, I'm trying it, but for some reason, I am not being able to share the screen. Is it
Okay,
okay
then you
if
can.
I cannot share it?
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, yeah. Without the screen also, you can continue.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Just a minute. Wait, I'm thinking. Okay. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank English department for giving us this beautiful opportunity to present a webinar on American literature. And I have presented a small, I mean not a small, it's a bit short, I guess. So it will not be able to cover between 5 minutes, I guess, because it's too short. So I would like to present my seminar on racism and slavery on Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is a novel by Mark Twain, published in 1884. He wrote this novel in between, not in between, wrote in late 19th century. He set his novel earlier when slavery was still legal, marking his book an extended exploration of morality of one person owning another person. Slavery in America was basically in South was a brutal institution involving the psychological and physical domination of black people who had been forcefully uprooted and transported mainly from Africa to serve as laborers in America for cotton and tobacco plantation. By the whole condemned and benefited from the practice of slavery on black Americans could consider himself truly free, which is why Jim, who is a character, and who basically he faced slavery, and which is why Jim's emancipation at the end of the book is a bittersweet um, ending. I guess it means James, the entire character, it's a bit bittersweet rather than fully it's mm, colorful or triumphant or whatever it is. And he, including his wife, children, they were also the slaves that enslaved the other characters in the story. So I have also quoted some of the lines from the novel, and I would like to read one of them. So it is quoted: "The widow Douglas she took for her son and allowed she would civilize me, but it was rough living in the house at the time." So the both lines speaks that Huck speaks these lines to his readers at that the widow Douglas adopted him to educate him and help him to become a civilized citizen. However, since he was too decent, refined, and strict for Huck, he didn't want to spend time at home. Thank you for listening my seminar. I have I'm done. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, my dear friends.
Okay. It was a confident presentation on your part, Namrata.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Comments we will provide later on, and
Yes,
I'm asking Melissa and Rashmi ma'am also if they have any questions, then they can ask the individual student later on. So
yes.
we will proceed to the next student now. After Namrata Kashyap, it will be Nimisa Das. Nimisa, are you there? Nimisa? Okay.
Ma'am, audio presentation due. Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, you can, Nimisha.
It's okay, Nimisa. Without sharing the screen, you can do.
Okay, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Today I'm here to present a seminar presentation on the topic The Use of River as a Symbol in the Novel The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Before getting into the presentation, I'd like to thank the Department of English to giving me the opportunity to present the webinar. So, before getting into the presentation, I like to give a short introduction about why Mark Twain used the river as a symbol in this novel. See, the river was extremely important for trade transportation in 18th century during Mark Twain's lifetime. And this important come through in this novel uh, from his novel Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. The Mississippi River is the second longest river in the United States. It is about 2,350 miles long. It was actually long in the time of Huckleberry Finn, but current damming and other river control methods designed to help the boat running trade have somewhat changed its course and size. However, the general course of the Mississippi remained the same. Basically, it turned almost the entire north-south length of the United States. In this novel, the Mississippi River is the ultimate symbol of freedom. The river is hugely important for Huck and Jim in the novel Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. And for the story itself, the river serves as ongoing plot device, which is an object and character created to manage the plot and keep the story moving. So let me get into the presentation. Samuel Langhorne Clement, known by his pen name Mark Twain, was an American writer. Mark Wagner called him the father of American literature. Uh, when he was four, his father when he was four, his family moved to Hannibal, Missouri, a small town in Mississippi River, where he continued to live till he was 18. Mark Twain typically write in humorous vein and more specifically in satire. His most famous novels include The Adventure of Tom Sawyer and its sequel, The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn is full of symbolic novel. The river represents different things to different characters. For Huck and Jim, the river represents the idea of freedom. Huck searched for freedom from his abusive father and from his restricted civilization of the society, while Jim searched for freedom from slavery. The river also represents the fact that freedom is not easy to find. The river flood and the air get foggy, make it harder for gentlemen to navigate their way. Now, let me move on the next paragraph. Why, while Huck and Jim are on the raft, traveling down the river, they are suspended from the rule of man and cooperate or commune with the nature. After get away from the carnage of the battle between the Grangerford and the Shepherdson, he lies with the relief upon the uh, rough and common that I was powerful, glad to get away from the feud, and so was Jim to get away from the swamp. We said there was not no home like a rough after all. Other places do seem so cramped up and so sorry, but a rough do not. Moving on the next paragraph, both Jim and Hug encounter both good and bad invariably take place along the river shore, and the river assumed the rule of sanctuary. And the river symbolic importance as sanctuary is evident in Hug comment that I never felt easy till the raft was 2 miles below there and out in the middle of the Mississippi. Then we hung up our signal lantern and just that we was free and safe one more. Moving on, the river important as a source of safety and freedom was encapsulated again when at the end of the chapter 29 Huck and Jim again take off down the river. So here I am going to conclude this presentation. The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn presents the Mississippi River as the great symbol of South culture that is been throughout American history. More than that, for reader, the river symbolizes the freedom from society and freedom from slavery. By having his character journey take place along the river, Mark Twain made the Mississippi River as the focus point nearly his entire story. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, it's quite good enough, Nimisha, because it is in a virtual medium. It is not so easy to present a paper because we have a lot of communication problems also. But despite having all these things, you are quite confidently presenting the paper. So I will provide my personal comment later on, and I will ask you questions that I am putting down. So let me proceed to the next presenter. And after Nimisha, whether she is present or not, I don't know. It is Pritisna Bora. Pritisna, are you
Yes,
there?
ma'am.
Or okay, so it is Pritisna. Then after her, it will be Priyam Pratiksha. Priyam Pratiksha's next will be Priyanjali. Okay, Pritisna, you can start now.
Good evening, everyone. So, today I'm here to present my seminar topic on relationship between Ivan and Cabot in Desire Under the Elms, where the contents include our introduction. First of all, the play Desire Under the Elms was written by the famous American playwright Eugene O'Neill. In the play, he adopted plot elements and themes of Greek tragedy to a rural New England setting. The story in Desire Under the Elms also revolves around a struggle for dominance between a son, Eben, and his father, Ephraim Cabot. Uh, the character, Eben Cabot, who is the protagonist of the play. He is Mao and Ephraim Cabot's son. Eben is young and handsome. Uh, Though he always wears a bitter and resentful expression on his face. And the next character, Ephraim Cabot, he is the he is the uh, he is the antagonist of the play, who is 78 years old and works there and owns a farm in New England in the 1815 and works there with his three sons. He is a greedy and harsh old New England widower. Ephraim has been married three times. His first wife bore him two sons, and his second wife bore him Eben and also died. After then, he brings home Abby Putnam, his new wife. Then, uh, Eben and Ephraim Cabot relationship. The story Desire Under the Elms is a classical representation of the fight between a father and son for mother's love and the son's rebellion against a father for the worse treatment that his mother received from his father, Cabot. His mother was a kind-hearted woman, and he thinks that his mother had died because his father made her work hard. He also believed that the farm originally belonged to his mother, from whom their father had taken away the farm without having any right to it. When Cabot arrives with a new wife, whose name is Abby, she becomes a new claimant to the farm. But Cabot also determined to retain the ownership of the farm too. He can part with his sons, but not with his farm. He does not admit Eben's claim that the farm originally belonged to his mother. He asserts, on the contrary, the relatives of Eben's mother had falsely fined a slut against him in order to take possession of the farm, which had always been his and only his. And old Cabot's new wife, Abby, who is also wants to acquire the farm as Cabot is impotent to, so she wants to produce a son by Eben in order to possess the farm. Uh, Though Even first time refuses all her flirtatious advances, but later Eben responses to her amorous advances in order to revenge upon Cabot. Then, after spending the first night with Abby, he looks satisfied and says that his mother's spirit has now gone back to her grave and can sleep peacefully because his mother has been able to take revenge on old Cabot by making even fall in love with Cabot's new wife. Then it is the turn of Cabot to mock Eben when Eben uh, claim the ownership of the farm. Cabot tells him that the farm will go to Abby's newborn son. Eben now misunderstands Abby. He thinks that he has fallen in love with him in order to produce a son by him, as she wants to become the owner of the farm. He threatens to leave her, and then she kills her child to prove her love towards Eben. At the end, Abby and Eben are taken into custody, and Cabot is destined to live alone in the farm. A conclusion: the play Desire Under the Elms is one of the famous play of Eugene O'Neill. Neil very successfully portrays the conflict between a father and son. Their desires for the position of the farm lead them to their tragedy. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, it is a very good presentation on your part. You are
Thank you, ma'am.
confidently presenting the paper. And I have seen that due to some network issues or something else, some students have to leave the Google Classroom or
Yes,
Google
ma'am.
Meet early. So I want to ask you the question immediately, Millie. I'm planning of asking them the
But
question
still,
immediately. Why?
now their presentation seemed very good. They seem to be very
Yeah,
confident,
that's
even though their actual faces are not
Thank you,
seen, but
sir.
still they seem to be very, very good. So let them go on.
yeah, that's what.
In between, if
Okay.
you feel
So
like
should we
asking
ask
questions,
the
you can ask.
other students? They are encouraged to ask questions. You have to ask your fellow participants some questions.
Yeah.
Prijusna, I have to ask you one question. What
Yes,
are
ma'am.
the models of Greek classical tragedy that you find in Desire Under the Elms? What are the
Sorry, ma'am.
other
Can you repeat?
what are the different models of, at least you have to mention one, what are the different models of classical Greek tragedy that were inspiring the writer to write Desire Under the Elms, particularly in
Okay.
the case of father-son relationship?
Yes.
Because Ibn's and his father's relation was disturbed because of one complex, okay, that you know as, what is the name of the complex? That is a classical problem. It is Adipas complex, is that it?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Yeah, are you listening to me, Pratisna?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible? Okay, maybe not you are hearing properly. So next turn is Priyam Pratiksha. Priyam,
Yes, ma'am.
are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please start your presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Today I am here virtually to present my seminar on the treatment of gender equality in Desire Under the Elms. So, Desire Under the Elms is a 1924 play written by Eugene O'Neill, an American playwright and Nobel laureate in literature. Like Morning Becomes Electra, Desire Under the Elms signifies an attempt by O'Neill to adapt plot elements and themes of Greek tragedy to the rural New England. His poetic title plays were among the first to introduce into the US the drama techniques of realism. Desire Under the Elms takes place in the 19th century United States, when women were commonly seen as inferior to men and consequently had fewer rights and opportunities. The play's male characters mistreat and objectify the women in their lives. In the play, as we can see, Cabot made his second wife, Meo, work so much in the firm that she literally died, but still he calls her a downfall. Next, when Eben leaves to visit his lover Minnie, his brothers, Simon and Peter, called her a scarlet woman and joked about how they all had sexual relation with Minnie. Similarly, When Simon mourns his dead wife Jane, he focuses on her physical attributes like her long golden hair rather than her personality or love. When Cabot brought Abby to their house, Eben's brothers openly joke about raping Cabot's new wife, for they thought Abby had her eyes in the firm. Abby too openly refers to Abby, Eben too openly refers to Abby as any old other whore when he suspects that she wants to take over the family firm. The way they casually disrespect women shows that it's socially acceptable to treat women as sexual objects. Being the son of Cabot's second wife, Eben had legal right to inherit the firm, and on the other hand, Abby too wanted the firm to be hers. But Cabot did not want anybody to inherit the firm. Abby was too good at manipulating. She finally convinced Cabot to give the firm to her. It is then when the gender inequality arises in a crystal clear manner in the play. Cabot told the firm needs a son. Abby cannot inherit the firm because she was a woman. Only men had rights to inherit the property. Therefore, Abby decided to have a son with Cabot. Moreover, in the very beginning of the play, the two enormous elm trees were said to be two exhausted women who were resting their sagging breasts, hands, and hair on its roof. And when it rains, their tears trickle down monotonously and rot on the shingles. Thus, women are not seen in a positive way in any act of the play. They are termed as inferior and used as objects in every act. Thank you.
First of all, we should all appreciate Priyam Pratiksha for her very good selection of the subject. Okay, it is she is doing it
Thank you,
very
ma'am.
seriously. I should appreciate you for the selection of the interesting subject that you have found out. And your presentation was crystal clear, though you were not sharing your screen, but it was audible to all, and everybody can understand what you are going to present. Okay, that is my comment on you. Now I have one question to you. Maybe you will be able to answer this question. What do you think about Abby? Do you consider Abby as a tragic heroine or an antagonist in the drama, as a villainous character or as a tragic heroine in the drama Desire Under the Elms?
Ma'am, as a tragic heroine.
Okay, in what context?
Ma'am, because at the end of the play, when she started feeling for events on a serious, like honestly, she
Okay,
really fell in love with Eben. So
okay,
after that, she killed her that son, which she had with Eben.
yeah,
That is why.
okay, yeah, yeah. That's the reality. Though she once wanted to be evil, but she cannot become so, isn't it?
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you for your a very good answer. Okay, I should appreciate. I should ask Melissa to comment here. I think Melissa is there, or otherwise he will give you the comment later on. So we will proceed to now. Priyanjali. Priyanjali, you are there.
Yes. Good evening,
Okay.
my respected professors and my fellow students. I'm going to talk about the representation of the pre-Civil War social situation in the Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Samuel Longhorn Clemens was an American writer born on the 30th of November, 1835, Florida, Missouri. He was known by the pen name of Mark Twain. William Faulkner had identified him as the father of American literature, and his novel, The Adventures of Huckleberry, is often dubbed as the Great American Novel. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn was first published in the United Kingdom in December 1884 and in the United States in February 1885. The novel highlights on some of the most compelling and heartrending subjects, debates of the pre-Civil War years. Clemens, who was himself brought up in Hannibal, provided for the settings in Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. As a child, Twain had questions the establishment of slavery. Missouri was a state about 20 enslaved people. At a certain point in his attitude, the institution of slavery changed as he had married into an abolitionist. The Huckleberry was written after the abolition of the institution of slavery in America. In a novel at the time, Civil War. It was very legal and was still the economic foundation of the American South. Many characters in the novel were seen like the Grangerford family and the Phelps family. On the other hand, there were also characters who indirectly profited from slavery. Duke and the king who turned him to the Phelps for a cash release. Slaves were abused, oppressed, exploited, and degraded. The slaveholders, who were the whites, rationalized their dehumanizing behavior of slaves by adhering to a racist stereotype that the blacks were mentally retarded animals in comparison to the white superior self. Twain wanted to expose the immoral behaviors of the people by portraying how inhumanly Jim was plucked away from his wife and children and how he had to keep running for his safety and also wanted to emphasize hypocrisies and Twain's of the times, showing how Huck lived in a strictly adhered to rules and traditions, which were nonsensical but also very inhuman. Huck's guardian, namely widow and her Watson, attempted to civilize him by instructing him Christian values, beliefs, and manners, which Huck eventually recognized as ridiculous. Later, when Huck had left the care of widow Douglas, he found the shady parts of the society were even more ridiculous, which had found rich families that violently feuded with each other. There, he also witnessed a drunken man getting shot simply making a very pet beginning of the novel. We can see how a judge had granted Pat, how drunken father and abuse and this will compromise immensely. The improvement experienced in the is juxtaposed with the deep social of how truly degrading the institution of slavery is, and that it cannot be founded on a society that is truly civilized. Mark Twain's exposure to the hypocrisies and immorality prevalent in the society of the times, his choice of using the dialect, the blunt language, and the pejorative tones, the, the acute depiction of how people acted and thought, the consequent loneliness and loss of hope. Twain exposed the ugly realities and he did not hold back. Twain showed us a non-picturesque view through the eyes of a young and uneducated boy, which was a very radical concept on his part. Mark Twain expressed his disdain towards a society that was rid by stringent religious norms and logical superstitions. And hence, because of how strongly he points forward, The Adventures of Huckleberry has been regarded as one of his finest works, so been constantly challenged and banned. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.
Okay, it is very good presentation, but due to some network issues, sometimes you were becoming inaudible, but still it is a very good presentation on your part. I have already gone through your draft and it was a very good composition that you have made. So I have one question for you, Priyanjali. Am I audible to you?
Hello, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Ma'am, your
Okay,
audio is
so
breaking. Yes.
okay. So what do you think about Mark Twain's representation of the black life? Is it a realistic picture? Is it his really compassionate picture of the society? Or he just trying to be very hypocritical? Was it real or hypocritical?
Sorry, ma'am, I couldn't get the last part.
Okay, so it is not audible probably, Priyanjali. I will just write the
Audio is
question in the.
breaking.
Okay, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am. Now I can, yes.
Okay, you are hearing now. So, what do you think, Mark Twain's representation of the black life in Huckleberry Finn?
Yes.
Is it a real, compassionate picture of the society that he is trying to portray here, or is it just a white man's hypocritical portrayal of their life?
I think it is
How do you?
compassionate.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, I'm
So,
hearing you. Yes.
yes, initially when he was growing up, he had no opinion on the establishment of slavery as a child. But growing up, he got to see the the dark picture, and Huckleberry Finn was based on a real person, Tom Blankenship, who lived older to Twain by 4 years. So whatever he portrayed was something that he had witnessed himself, and was very much against the concept of slavery. So I think it is very empathetic.
Okay, very good answer, Priyanjali. I was just expecting you to answer like that, and it is very informative also. Thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next one will be Rakhi Ghosh. Are you there, Rakhi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now it's your turn.
Ma'am, is it visible? Ma'am,
It's visible, Rakhi.
okay. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank English Department, Sipsagar Girls College, for giving me this opportunity to present on this webinar. I would like to present my assignment. The topic which I have chosen for this seminar is the theme realism in the play Desire Under the Elms by Eugene O'Neill. Now I am going to explain about the introduction. The introduction contains about the author and about the play Desire Under the Elms. Eugene Gladstone O'Neill was an American playwright. He was the first American playwright to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature. His plays were the first to introduce into the America the drama techniques of realism. Desire Under the Elms is a play written by him published in 1925. The play adapts plot elements and themes of Greek tragedy. Next, the theme of realism in the play. Realism in literature means portraying life with fidelity. Realism in drama is to depict life as it actually is. O'Neill described the story of the play truthfully instead of dramatizing it. Now, I would like to move on to the main part of the assignment. The main part contains the realistic things which are there in the play. In the play Desire Under the Elms, situations are always realistic. First, to talk about, O'Neill chose very realistic characters for his play. Ephraim Cabot, a 78 years old man, and his three sons, Simon, Peter, and Evan. Ma was old Cabot's second wife and Evan's mother who has died, and Abby Putnam, old Cabot's third wife and Evan's love interest. Secondly, he showed a realistic setting of the play in New England farmhouse. He chose realistic background for his plays. Then O'Neill showed us the longing for property among the characters. Through this, he has shown the greedy nature of people in real life. He shows that the land becomes the source of greed for the characters, Old Cabot, Evan, and Abby. Another realistic theme which O'Neill showed in the play is the father-son conflict. It is a universal phenomenon. He shows the fight between the father and son for mother's love and the son's rebellion against a father. Now, I would like to summarize my assignment. The theme, realism, is a suitable theme for the play. In the play, the author has shown everything from characters to the setting, greed, and the father son conflict in a realistic manner. We can say that, all in all, Desire Under the Elms is a mirror of American society. It was the play that brought American drama into its real sense. O'Neill presents a marvelous drama before the audience. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Another good presentation, Rakhi. I'm very
Thank
happy that girls are becoming so confident, and I should appreciate it because you were now in sixth semester, so it is the high time to be very confident in your presentation. Though this is a very new experiment, there may be some flaws, but ignoring those flaws, we should appreciate your effort that you are coming forward and confidently presenting the papers. So for Rakhi, I have one
you,
question.
ma'am.
Are you with me, Rakhi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my question is, how does the dramatist O'Neill present the Greek theme of Adipas complex in a realistic way in a modern drama, because it is one classical concept, Oedipus complex, but he is using it in a modern drama in a very realistic way. How he was trying to do it?
Ma'am, I think in real life there is a father-son conflict happen always. So he tried to show this realistic thing with the help of Oedipus complex that the that father-son conflict is happen in real life.
Okay, so almost you are giving the proper answer because it is
Yes.
one eternal problem, isn't it? It is
Yes.
one
Yes.
eternal
Yes, ma'am.
problem, and from the ancient time to now, it is still existing. I'm very happy that you are reading hard and you are trying to answer the questions properly. Melissa
Okay,
is there.
Kritanjali.
Melissa is
Kritanjali,
there, asking you to comment.
Rakhi,
Yes, sir.
I have nothing to ask. Your answer actually, as Kritanjali madam is saying, your answer is very close to that, whatever your madam is asking. But I have just one little suggestion.
Yes,
While
sir.
you present, that cannot be ignored, I mean, while you present visually, the kind of a PPT presentation, এটা ডাঙৰ এটা ভুল মানে সেইটো কৰিব নোৱাৰে যিটো ধৰণৰ ফৰ এক্সাম্পল ইন আ মেইন পাৰ্ট অফ প্ৰেজেন্টেশন ইউ মেনশন ই হ্যাজ হ'ব লাগিছিল বা ই হ্যাড হ'ব লাগিছিল ই হ্যাভ দি দিলা তুমি যিটো দিলা ই হ্যাভ সানস এণ্ড যিটো দিলা that cannot be ignored আৰু কাৰণ সেই যিটো আমাৰ অক্সিলাৰি ভাৰ্ব থাকে যে এইটো কেতিয়াও ইগনোৰ কৰিব নোৱাৰিব বাকি ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰটো ইগনোৰ কৰিলেও বাট your presentation is very good. But I agree with Kritanjali madam. But the fact is that you cannot ignore while you present actually PPT in a visual manner that kind of mistake. For example, he have sons like that. You cannot do that. He has a bolaga ba he had a bolagisile. Hope you understood, Rakhi.
Yes, sir.
It is
I
actually
was
hope na lage.
suggesting you to do the modifications, Raki. I am hoping that in the hard copy you will do the modifications.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise,
I will.
presentation is very good. And can Kritanjali see they are improving a lot.
Assignment, write it as seminar presentation. Another
Yes.
problem that is in the first slide.
It's good. Keep going.
Okay, next
Yes.
one is Saraswati. Saraswati Mahanta, are you there? Next one will be Saraswati. Are you there, Saraswati Mahanta? Yes, Saraswati is there. Raki, you should stop sharing the screen now. Okay, now it is Saraswati's turn. We are waiting for you.
She is not there. Anyone can present.
Yeah, Saraswati is there, but maybe she is not in a good network area. So let me go to the next one. Next one, yeah. Next one is Sumi Fukan. Are you there? Sneha Sahu is also there. Sneha, are you there? Sneha, are you there? So if it's yeah, Sneha is there. Yes. I think Sneha also have network issues. Now next one will be Sumi Fukan. Sumi, you are there?
Yes, ma'am.
Sumi? Okay, it's Sumi's turn now.
Good evening, everyone. So today I'm here to present my seminar paper on the topic, the significance of Abby Putnam's character in Eugene O'Neill's Desire Under the Elms, where the contents includes introduction, distinguished features of Abby Putnam, Abby's love and desire, Abby is the antagonist of the play, and her character development. Let me start with the introduction. Desire Under the Elms is a famous play by an eminent American playwright, Eugene O'Neill. And the main themes included in the play are an obsessive love of property, an illegitimate passion, and an acute father-son conflict. Characters included is an aged father, Ephraim Cabot, who lost his two wives. Simon and Peter are the son of his first wife, and Eben is the third son of his second wife. And Abby is his third wife. Next is the distinguished features of Abby Putnam. Abby is a beautiful woman in her mid-30s who is Cabot's third wife and Eben's lover. Abby is an orphan who lost her parents at a very young age, which left her having a harsh and hard life. She married old Cabot in order to inherit his farmhouse so she could secure her future. Her plans did not include Eben, but the old Cabot situation made her to seduce Eben so she could produce a heir. Abby was also very impulsive, which worked often against her. Next is love, Abby's love and desire. As I mentioned earlier, Abby's was an orphan and had a difficult life. She desires of having a secure and stable life with the help of old Cabot. Her desires lead her to seduce Eben and produce a illegal relationship with him. But as time passed, Eben fell in love with Abby, who was a mother figure and a perfect partner in his eyes. Abby too genuinely falls in love with Eben, and her desires for Eben's love overpowers her desire to inherit the farm. She impulsively kills their newborn child to possess him, and this ultimately leads them to their own tragic ending. Next is Abby as the antagonist of the play. Abby only married Cabot in order to inherit his farmhouse, so she seduced Eben only to produce a heir. She had an evil ulterior motive in every single thing she did, which defines her as the villain of the play. Lastly, Abby's character development. Uh, Abby seduces and in the halfway of the play, Abby seduced and produced an illegal relationship with Eben, gives birth to his child, and at last she genuinely falls in love with him, which made a huge development in her character. As she realizes her love for Eben is real, she only wanted to live and stay with him. Her desire to inherit the farmhouse vanishes. She at the end kills her newborn child, which led them both to their tragedy. Thank you.
Okay, Sumi, this is one good presentation again.
Yes,
There
thank
may
you,
be
ma'am.
some critical errors that I have shown. Hoping that you will correct it in your heart. But presentation-wise, it was good.
Okay,
And
ma'am.
my question to you will be: how can you the development of Abby's character from the beginning to is she
Okay, ma'am.
static, or is there some changes happening? And if it is happening, is it a psychological thing?
Yes, ma'am. It was a psychological change in her because her sole purpose to marry Cabot was only to inherit his farmhouse, and she also produced a legal relationship with Eben uh, in order to produce a heir, so she could inherit the farmhouse. but in the halfway of the novel, she genuinely falls in love with Eben. This caused her to develop her character, and uh, at last she also killed her newborn child in order to possess Eben, so she could uh, prove her love for Eben.
How do you want to justify the killing of the child, the infanticide?
Yes, ma'am. Can you repeat?
How do you justify the act of killing of the child to prove her love towards Eben?
She thought the old cabot after the party when the day they were uh, including the day when cabot was going to make the newborn child as the hire of the farmhouse. He told Eben that Abby was only using him to in order to inherit his farmhouse. Therefore, she told kill her newborn child, and that way she proved her love for Eben.
Okay. So in that context, you are considering Abby as the antagonist of Lumina's character, isn't it?
Ma'am, I can't hear.
No, no, you have to switch off your speaker. Now you can hear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's a very good part. I'm asking Melissa and Ralshi ma'am, they are there on your paper.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, should I ask them at the end?
Okay, it will be better. But some girls are having network issues.
Okay, okay. So I haven't actually listened to each of the paper, uh, but I would like to tell here something considering what Kaibashri, Namrata, Nimisha, and Sumi has presented. See, like you all are sixth semester now. After a few months, you might enter your you might go for your further studies into master degree. So that way the themes that you have taken are very beautiful or very good ones. Picaresque novel or racism or the concept of river in Huck Finn or the character of Epi Putnam. But what I would like to say here is that you need to be a bit critical. I won't say too much, but because you all are heading towards your master degree level, critical in the sense that try to bring in several facets of the character or several facets of the theme that you can relate to the text you are using, because Huck Finn is such a multifaceted text with too many themes embedded into it. So you can always focus more on the theme and then use the text only as an example to elaborate on the theme that you have chosen. Okay. Otherwise, to all the presentations that I have heard in detail, each one of them is beautifully constructed and also beautifully presented, and you all are also becoming very vocal with time, progressing with time. That can be seen or very much evident from your presentations. All the best, and yes, of course, I would like to hear to the other ones, and I hope you'll improve more with time, so that the moment you pass out from this college, you are more furnished and more capable of presenting in a better way. And the way Kaipashri did her presentation with, giving up this one, power, sorry, slide presentation or something of that sort, please try to incorporate those things also, because nowadays with this online mode, those things are also very much necessary. Otherwise, from the context, I would not like to say anything right now.
Okay, thank you, Rajashri. Maybe you were missing a few students in between, and we had some. Melissa also knows it. We had some good presentation in between. So now it is Sunana's turn. Sunana Bhattakur, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
It's your turn now.
Good evening, everyone, respected teachers and my dear friends. Today, in this virtual platform of seminar presentation, I am here to present my audio presentation on the theme of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn as a Bildungsroman. Mark Twain was born in Florida on November 30, 1835. He was an American author, social critic, as well as a novelist. Mark Twain's most famous novel, one of the greatest works of American literature, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. It is a picaresque novel. Huckleberry Finn presents two main visions of freedom in exploring questions about the meaning of liberty. The main character of the novel, Huck Finn, and his friend Jim seek freedom, though they have very different ideas about what freedom means. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn belongs to the genre of Bildungsroman. That is, the novel presents a coming-of-age story in which the protagonist Huck matures as he broadens his horizons with new experiences. Huckfin, the hero, Picaro, and narrator of the work, he is a motherless boy, abused and kidnapped by his drunken father until he fakes his own death and runs away. Huck begins the novel as an immature boy who enjoys goofing around with his boyhood friend Tom Sawyer and playing tricks on others. Growing up is all Huck has experienced. While on his adventure, not many young people mature in the way he has so early in life. His experiences that made him mature vary in many ways, to befriending a slave and enduring the abuse of a father, and also to meeting con artists that are very deceitful. The adventures of Huckleberry Finn have truly been an adventure journey to Huck, especially towards maturity. In the first part of the story, Huck seen as very immature. He struggles between doing what he wants and what society would have him to do. Twain makes it clear that Huck is a boy who comes from the lowest levels of white society. Huck's father's name is Pep. He is a drunken father. Whenever Pep goes out, he locks Huck in the cabin, and when he returns home drunk, he beats the boy. Tired of his confinement and fearing the beatings will worsen, Huck escapes from Pep by faking his own death, killing a pig and spreading its blood all over the cabin. Hiding on Jackson's Island in the middle of the Mississippi River, Huck watches the townspeople search the river for his body. After a few days on the island, he encounters Jim, one of the Miss Watson's slaves. Jim has run away from Miss Watson after hearing her talk about selling him to a plantation down the river, where he would be treated horribly and separated from his wife and children. Huck and Jim team up, despite Huck's uncertainty about the legality or morality of helping a runaway slave. The most obvious way that Huck matures emotionally is through his relationship with Jim. Huck, being a Southerner, grew up knowing that black people were slaves and worthy only of such menial labor. On his journey with Jim, Huck recognizes Jim as a person with goals, feelings, loyalties, and morals. When Jim saves Huck's life, Huck's view of Jim and his place in the world as Huck has come to understand, it is all skewed. Huck becomes confused and finally decides what he has learned is not correct. He begins to follow his own path and to reconsider his lessons of the black-white issue. Jim has become his friend, a person to care for and to comfort. He is no longer just a slave to Huck. Another way that Huck grows throughout the novel is in his views on society and being civilized. At the beginning of the novel, Huck's objections to society revolve mainly around things like having to dress properly, going to school, having to stay clean, and being proper. These things are fairly superficial, and his objections are simply the personal preferences of a preteen boy. As the novel progresses, however, Huck is exposed to some very difficult circumstances, and his views of society grow and mature as a result. By the end of the novel,
Huck is morally mature and realistic. Throughout the book, Huck's maturity has never retrogressed. It's only been molding him into a child with the mindset and morals of an adult. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sunana. It is definitely a surprise for me to hear such confident presentation from you, Sunana. Well
Thank
done.
you.
I have one question to you. Do you consider Huck's psychological growth and maturity is way too fast, okay, in comparison to his age?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think about this matter? His psychological growth and maturity, Huck's psychological growth and maturity, is it too fast in comparison to his age? As you know that he is only 13 years old. So to expect a boy to become so matured in such a short period of time, okay, do you think it is too fast? How do you want to justify that?
Okay, so the Hakpin's friend Zim. Zim is a help to him for Hak to his growing up.
So you want to mean that because he was in the company of Jim, because he's a matured man, though he's a slave, but he was getting maturity too fast
Yes,
in comparison to the other boys of his age, isn't it?
he has one true friend of him.
Yes, yes.
So way he maturity is going up fast.
Okay. So good understanding on your part.
Okay,
Rajashree,
thank
you
you.
want to comment?
Yeah, I want to add something. Sunena, a good paper overall.
Thank you, ma'am.
We know that Bildungsroman is the growth novel of the protagonist here. It's Huckfin's growth.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
in that context, we know that this is a growth novel, hold the Huckfin's life from us from the beginning of Tom Sawyer till the later part till he freed Jim in the text. So this is throughout his growth that is being narrated by Mark Twain. But I would like to relate something and add on. It would have been better. This is a suggestion from my end. When we talk about the character's growth, because of course you are focusing on this theme as a Bildungsroman novel, Bildungsroman text. So when you focus on the character's growth, also try to bring in the important factors that he associates himself with. For example, he is bringing a new growth or he is bringing a new turn to America or to the culture of his time by easily accepting Jim as his mate, by living very comfortably with Jim throughout his journey in the river and in the land. Okay, so in your future, you can always incorporate this thing that apart from his psychological growth, apart from his physical growth, he was also adding something. He was growing as an individual and he was adding to the greater American culture by accepting this blackness very casually and very easily. That's all.
Okay,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Rajashree. Hope Sunayana will try to incorporate it in her hard copy of the paper.
Okay,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Sunayana. Next one is Tusti Gogoi. Tusti, are you there?
Good evening, respected. So, for the opportunity to present the webinar on this virtual platform. Today I'm going to talk about that and which is written by who was as an experienced writer and he began by from the and that one would include the desire of Simon and Peter who the desire of for they set of to down even or play of desire
one possesses a farm which belongs to his mother. He believes that her father what is stolen from that mother. He wants to upon his mother, so that now he is done to his mother. So he meets his stepmother Abby Putnam, but soon is definitely in love with her. And we can find this part of Cabot after leading a hard life of poverty and deprivation. He once was he married a second sister.
Steve's voice is cracking actually, is not properly audible. So our last participant will be Yasmin. Yasmin, are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
here?
I'm here.
Okay, it's your turn now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today I'm here to present my audiovisual presentation, and my topic is the theme of slavery and racism in the novel The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn, written by Mark Twain. So this novel was published in 10th of December 1884. It is a sequel to Tom Sawyer. Many of his works have been suppressed at times for various reasons. The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn has been repeatedly restricted in American high schools. The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn is set before the Civil War when slavery was still legal. Even by Twain's time, things had not necessarily gotten much better for blacks in the South. In this light, we might read Twain's depiction of slavery as an allegorical representation of the condition of blacks in the United States even after abolition of slavery. Just as slavery passed a novel and moral regime under the control of white society, no matter how degraded the society may be, so too the insidious racism that arose near the end of Reconstruction oppressed black men for illogical and hypocritical reasons. The theme of slavery is perhaps the most well-known aspect of this novel. Since its first publication, Twain's perspective on slavery and ideas surrounding racism have been hotly debated. In his personal and public life, Twain was vehemently anti-slavery. Considering this information, it is easy to see that Adventure of Huckleberry Finn provides an allegory to explain how and why slavery is wrong. Many characters in Twain's novel are themselves white slaveholders, like Miss Watson, the Grangerford family, and the Phelps family. Twain uses Jim, a main character and a slave, to demonstrate the humanity of slaves. Jim expresses the complicated human emotion and struggle with the part of his life. Thus, Twain encouraged the reader to feel sympathy and empathy for Jim, to outrage at the society that has enshelled him and threatened his life. In Adventure of Huckleberry Finn, Twain, by exposing the hypocrisy of slavery, demonstrated how racism distorts the oppressor as much as it does those who are oppressed. Um, Mark Twain has always been one of the most controversial authors of all the time for projecting such a racial theme like slavery and racism in his novel. Racial slurs are used throughout the novel, The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. Critical um, there are some critical critics have expressed their views on every possible aspect of his works. They have pondered the overall theme, the symbolism, the superstition, the satirizing of the South, the beginning, the middle, the end, the language, the writing, the river, individual chapter, individual scene, individual characters. And critics have analyzed and interpreted nearly every one of his character, including the Mississippi River, Nigger Jim, one of the Twain's character who has received a wide range of criticism. So now I'm going to conclude. Race is linked to physical difference among the people, and such features as dark skin, color have been seen as marker of low status. Some experts believe that racism may be difficult to eradicate. Such practice violates Article 17 of the Universal Declaration as well as Article 26 of International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin. First of all, I have to highlight some of the flaws of your paper. The first one is that the last part of your paper, you are writing on the critical works of different writers. It is not contextual to the theme that you are selecting because it is an overall critical analysis of the critical works written by different critics. So in that context, it is not necessary here. Another thing is that, as Realism has already mentioned here, that slavery and racism, it is a very common theme of the novel itself. Though you are selecting it, but you can go to the depth of the novel by selecting some pinpointed subject instead of selecting this kind of very general theme. Okay, that is my suggestion.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
for your third, you can do some more work on that. Otherwise, presentation wise, you are very confident. You are very properly audible to us. So I have one question for you. Since you can discuss the novel from this point of view also, because you are selecting a very common theme, but still you are mentioning here that Huckleberry Finn as an allegorical representation of the slavery. Okay, repeatedly you are using the term allegorical representation of slavery. In what context you are considering Huckleberry Finn as an allegorical representation of slavery? Can you justify it?
Yeah, ma'am, sure. Ma'am, Huck Finn is an allegory about good and evil. Huck represents the force of good, and most of the people he meets represents evil. Even the river seems like a place where there are no worries, and yeah, so I think it's an allegorical.
How it is a kind of allegorical representation of slavery? You are using that particular term. That's why I'm asking that question. Otherwise, it is symbolical or allegorical representations are there. There are different elements. But do you consider it is a kind of allegorical representation of slavery also? Since when Mark Twain was writing the novel, slavery was already abolished. He has to go back to a previous period, pre-Civil War period, isn't it? So that particular period when slavery was in. So in that context, you can write something else on the allegorical significance. Okay, otherwise it is not allegorical. Rajashree, do you want to comment here?
Yeah, Yasmin, as I totally agree with Kiki ma'am, because racism and slavery is quite evident in the text. There is nothing of, I think, you can't say it's an allegorical context because clearly when you read the text, we understand that this one, Huck was helping a black boy against the traditional norms of his time. So that way, this is first of all not allegorical. There might be several allegorical other contexts in the novel, but racism and slavery isn't. And the second thing was that this one was very clear. Your presentation was quite clear. But and again, as ma'am said, that at the end part you are trying to summarize too many things. Always stay focused on what you are saying in your paper. You are talking about slavery and racism. Stick to that. You need not bring about all other concepts that you know. Whatever is your central theme, for example, if somebody is working on picaresque or racism or river or Bildungsroman or slavery, concentrate on that. You need not show your knowledge on other aspects here, right here. And when you begin a paper, this is for everyone. When you begin a paper, always try to begin, like I have earlier also said in your classes, that the aim of my paper is to look into, my paper aims to interrogate. The central concern of your paper should be the very focal point because you are given for presentation only 5 to 6 minutes or 4 or 5 minutes. So we as keen listeners will only listen to the central portions of your text. So from the very beginning moment, you need to say that. And you need not mention facts like who wrote that, who wrote Huckleberry Finn, when it was written. These are textual things that we already know. So when you write the paper, maybe you can write those things, but when you present, only focus on the important parts. Okay?
Yes.
That's
Yes, madam. Rajashree madam is very correct because we do not need any kind of autobiographical information all about who wrote the article and when was it published. So madam is very correct in that. Actually, we do not need need that kind of information, or it is not recommended. Hope you understood. Anyway, but the presentations were very nice. At least through that kind of virtual, even through virtual mode, you presented. Even though some of you couldn't present well, but still, for me, it's a good presentation from each one of you. So keep on that. Tanzali?
Cyberstream, are you there? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I had one question for you. I forgot to ask you that question because of the time. So, how can you present Huckleberry Finn as a modern Picaro?
Yes, ma'am.
As a modern Picaro, not just typical kind of Picaro. How can you differentiate him from the previous picaresque novels?
Hack was quite modern in the sense that he was different from other traditional Figaro. Uh, he is not like the other traditional Figaro, like very much. Uh, Sorry, ma'am. Uh, he's quite good in nature than any other Figaro. He's from a illegitimate family background, but his nature and his mind is quite better than any other Picaro. His empathy for Jim, his helping hand for Jim, also making him modern Picaro. Uh, um,
Okay, Chemistry, good attempt, definitely. Because you know that Mark Twain was writing as a modern writer only, and his
Yes, ma'am.
background is quite different from the earlier picaresque novels. Basically, the racial theme was highlighted. So, in that context, it is not just a kind of physical adventure that the character was undergoing, but it is also undergoing a psychological kind of adventure also, which was not that much highlighted in the previous picaresque novels. In comparison to those novels, you can find out that Huckleberry Finn, his mental growth is also highlighted here. So, in that sense, we can consider because psychological elements were put in. These are new things. Okay? So, in that context, we can consider it as a modern Picaro. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's
I would like to add on one more thing, ma'am. Kaiprashri,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
ma'am said, also you can add one more thing. Like, this is my personal observation. I just, after your discussion, it came into my mind. Like, apart from this, because is initially when Picaresque novels were written, there is not that psychological element. It is the story of a Picaro like roaming about here and there like a vagabond. But with time, as ma'am said, that Mark Twain was trying to develop with a new, he was maybe introducing a new technique, totally new technique, and he didn't know at that time that somebody would read his text as a picaresque novel. Also you can say that here the Picaro, like you said, that here the Picaro is one person who has got empathy for characters like Jim. Also, you can add a fact like, here he is one person who can be considered modern in the sense that he was helping a black, which was not a tradition at that time. Okay,
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
helping
ma'am.
helping somebody, offering a helping hand to a black person at that time was totally out of the context. That is why maybe his book was banned right after its publication, was not allowed to be read by children, because picaresque adventure novels are basically meant for children, and it was not allowed to be kept in the libraries at that time. It was only much later after his publication of the book that it was into libraries, or now it's a part of the curriculum, part of the syllabuses of English literature or American literature. So in that case, you can also add at that point. See, being students of literature, this is for everyone. We only need to justify our point. If you can place your point in a beautiful way and justify it, every point is correct. Nothing is wrong. That is the greatest liberty that we have as literature students. That if you say that yes, Huck is a modern Picaro in the sense that he went against the tradition by offering a help to a black person without having any obligations from the, without considering any obligations from the society. That would really make a good ending, I think, with all other points that you have.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your enriching and insight, because it is a learning process for us also, you must admit, because in
Exactly.
this way, this kind of intellectual works, actually, it enriches us also a lot. So my next question is to Nimisha. One question was left. I was trying to ask her. Nimisha, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to attempt one question?
Okay, ma'am.
So we were using river as a symbol, Mississippi River as the symbol, use of the river as a symbol in the novel. So the question is that somewhere you were mentioning that river is the sanctuary. It is a place of safety for Huck. How do you want to describe it? Why he felt safe staying in the river instead of staying in the land? Rajashri, what do you think? Instead of just writing river as a symbol, then now you have written this thing as the main topic. River is the sanctuary.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Because I feel, Nimisha, see, river is one place which is the mother for Huck. Huck was motherless, as we know that Pap was his father and who was trying to beat him and kill him there in the cabin by the seashore. So there is, when I was a student, from then onwards, we know one thing, that the land, when he is in the land, there is too much trouble that he had to face, and when he is in the river, it is a big sanctuary for him. It's a big it offers him all sorts of motherly care. He relaxes in the river, but the time he is in the land, then all sorts of problems occur. So you can bring in the land river analogy and explain on the river, because there are too many things to explain, I think, when he is on the river. The what to say, the unseen energy that he gets from the river, the what to say, the positivity that he gets in the river. See, amidst nature, it offers him so much of solace which land didn't offer him. So you can also draw that comparison also.
Okay, ma'am.
Namisa, hope you are understanding that thing. Rajashri ma'am has already given the answer of your question, that question that I had given asked you. So better try to modify your paper. It will be more interesting. Okay, if you will discuss it, river is the source of happiness, sanctuary. Okay, I'm just happy that you are selecting out that particular word, and that's why. To stay, are you there? You there was some problem while you were presenting. You were not properly audible. Do you want to try it for or what?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you are properly audible. Please read the paper.
Good evening, respected teachers and my dear friends. First of all, I want to thank English department teachers for giving us the opportunity to present the webinar on this virtual platform. Today, I am going to talk about the aptness of the title Desire Under the Elms, which was written by Eugene O'Neill, who was a famous American playwright of the 20th century. From the title itself, we find two significant segments. One is desire and the other is elm. In the play, the word desire includes the desire of Simon and Peter, who were fed up with their usual life and has the desire to go to California in search of gold. And for that, they sign away their share of the farm to their youngest brother, Evan, in consideration of $300 each. In the play, we also can find the desire of Evan, where he wants to possess the farm which belongs to his dead mother. He believes that her father, old Cabot, has stolen it from his mother, so he wants to take revenge upon his father for the wrongs he has done to his dead mom. So he make love to stepmother Abby, but soon he is genuinely in love with her. After Evan, we can find the desire of Abby, who was the third wife of Ephraim Cabot, where she has the desire for home and security. After leading a hard life of poverty and deprivation, she wants to possess a home So she married the 75-year-old cabot. She thought that after his death, she can get the farm. But Ephraim did not want to leave the farm to her, but to one of his blood. So she make an illegal relationship with Evan. But like Evan, she also fall in love with him and desires him and him only. When a baby is born to them, she also kills the baby to prove her love for Evan. At last, we also can find the desire of Ephraim Cabot, where he wants a heir to take care of his farm after his death. His desire for human company takes him to Minnie and then to seek and marry Abby Putnam, but he still feels lonesome. Throughout the novel, through the play, he fails to establish an harmonious relationship with his wives and sons. Coming to the next segment, which is Elm. Here, Elm is not merely a tree, it signifies the dominance of the female characters in the play. It also symbolizes fertility. The dominance of the female is shown by the dead wife of Cabot, who is powerful enough in the life of Evan and Abby, whereas Abby was also dominant enough to destroy the life of Ephraim, Evan, and the newborn baby. From these points, it clearly shows that the title Desire Under the Elm is suggestive, symbolic, as well as fairy. This is all I wanted to say about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tusti. Finally, you were capable of presenting the paper properly. It was definitely a good presentation, clear. So I have one question to you. How do you want to relate the desires of all the characters present in the drama, to the American dream of success? Maybe you are familiar with the theme, American dream of success. How do you want to relate these desires with the American dream of success? Do you consider this drama, their desires, completely American?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Tushti, you can elaborate on that.
Yes, Tusti.
Ma'am, I'm not able to answer it. I will surely study about it.
Tusti, I got disconnected for a short period of time. Maybe Shyam was hearing you,
No,
or
she
Melissa
couldn't
was also there.
answer. She couldn't
So,
answer.
okay. Okay, so do you think that these desires are related to somehow success?
Yes, ma'am.
How you want to relate that?
In the play, all of them wanted the farm.
Okay. So you consider it just a kind of physical desire to possess something else, is not it? Material things only.
Yes, ma'am.
Material success is a
Yes.
particular theme of American literature. They wanted to be successful. They wanted to be based. Okay, that is something else visible in every literary work of American literature. That is also evident in this particular drama also. Hope you will go through these matters also, and you will try to comment on or incorporate this information in the hard copy of the presentation itself. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Tusti, for your presentation. Now, just we are going to wind up. So we are definitely happy to see your performance. Melissa is there. I'm asking Melissa to comment.
Kritanjali, did Arfi present?
Arfi is not presenting.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Now, Arfi, if you are capable of presenting now, okay. If there is no network problem, you can present now.
Yeah, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Arfi, can you present now?
Yes, sir, I
You
can.
can present now.
Okay.
Can I start, sir?
Yes, yes. Present your
Okay,
paper.
sir. Yeah, thank you. Good evening, teachers, and all my dear friends present here.
First of all, I, Arfi Begum, would like to thank all the teachers for giving me this golden opportunity to present this seminar, and I will try to give my best. Now, I introduce my topic, and my topic is the role of River Mississippi, which I've chosen from the one of the most popular novel called The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which is written by the famous American writer named Mark Twain. Now, my main motto is to tell about one of the two important role, um, which is the most prominent symbol in the novel, is the Mississippi. The firstly, I would like to say that the role as an escape route from civilization to freedom, which present the river Mississippi as a different purpose for Huck and Jim. Throughout the story, Huck is presented as a child who does not agree to society's standards of how a youth should behave, meaning that he does not follow some norms and valuation which civilization the root of embarrassment. On the other hand, Jim sees the river as a route to liberty, means that the river Mississippi is the route that he has to travel in order to get to Cairo and accomplish the ultimate thing of a slave can wish for freedom. So both have their own route for civilization to freedom. Next, the role as source of ecological thought. At present, the global environment crisis is becoming increasingly serious. People come to be more aware that only the transformation of human centered ecological concept can fundamentally elevate the current crisis. Under this, literary ecological crisis arises from the relationship between man and nature and man or man and self. Firstly, in the ecological thought between man and nature from the chapter 7 where Mark Twain showed the natural where ecological beauty of the Mississippi River where human being and nature are interdependent and integrated form a complete ecosystem. The river in the novel is the symbol of life returning to nature. Secondly, the ecological relationship between man or man and self. The river Mississippi provide a harmonious ecological place for the ecological balance of spirit and ecology. In the rough symbolizing nature, the line of race and skin color gradually melted in the endless river. Last but not the least, throughout the two mentioned role, it may be likely to find that Mark Twain's childhood and youth life are integrated into the Mississippi River, which is the soul of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. The river runs through all the plots. The broad, the tranquil, and beautiful river symbolize the freedom and hope of Huck and Jim. The profound understanding of Mississippi River helps comprehending Mark Twain's literary thoughts his novel. Thank you.
Thank you, Arfi. It is a very good presentation, beautiful presentation. Though you have
Thank you,
selected a
ma'am.
very good topic, but I should appreciate that you are trying to give some new light to this
Yes.
idea of the river. You are analyzing it properly and giving the multiple dimensions to the paper from different perspectives. This is something is
Thank you,
very
ma'am.
making your paper very interesting. So I don't know, have any question here. I just wanted to comment here. You are writing quite mature paper. There were some errors, maybe in the grammatical construction that I have showed you in the draft. You try to modify it, and I want to
Yes, ma'am.
ask Rajashri ma'am to comment on this paper.
Ma'am, this is a beautifully presented one, RP, good one indeed.
Mm.
Thank you, ma'am.
And rather, what I was, telling time and again that tend to be a bit critical when you write because you all are 6 semesters now. This was
Yes, ma'am.
somewhat seen in your paper. It was very much evident as KK ma'am and Melissa is nodding. So good one. improve more with time. Try to correct your grammatical errors as said, and try to elaborate on this thing. I don't know how much, what is the length of your paper or like that. So try to elaborate on that. Read more. Of course, you will get better with time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rajeshwari, for your comment. Anyone left out? Anyone who failed to present
Yes,
wants
ma'am.
to present now? Yes, tell your name.
Anuradha Kaur.
Okay, Anuradha, yes, you were left out. Yes, now it's your time.
Good evening, everyone, respected teachers and my dear friends. Today, I am going to present one of the important themes from the play Desire Under the Elms by Eugene O'Neill. And the theme of the play is mythic elements in Desire Under the Elms. This play adapts from classical plays and Greek mythology with reference to Oedipus, Phaedra, and Medea. So, starting from the first mythic element, Oedipus complex, Iban demonstrates an Oedipus complex through his conflict with his father. The term Oedipus has been derived from the name of King Oedipus of Thebes, who, through his ignorance, married his mother and had children by her. Sigmund Freud used this term to explain the manifestation of infantile sexuality in the relation the child into its parent. From the very beginning of the play, we know Iben's mother is dead, but she still plays a role in course of the play. He loves his mother so much that even after her death, the mother's image constantly comes before his eyes. When she was alive, Iben noticed her everything, how she cooked, what she did, etc. This is also a result of mother fixation. Iban's desire for his stepmother Abby as he mourns the death of his real mother is Oedipal. Like Oedipus, Iban had physical relation with Abby. Iban's hatred for Ephraim, his father, continues the Oedipal pattern. He holds Ephraim responsible for his mother's death and prays for Ephraim's death in turn. Moving on to another mythical element is media complex. The play alludes that the story as in Euripides' Medea, where Medea kills her two children to avenge her husband's betrayal in abandoning Medea for the king's daughter Glauce. In Desire Under the Elms, however, to prove her love for Eben, Abby kills her baby, whose birth was supposed to secure her position in the firm. And lastly, the mythical element is Phaedra. O'Neill's play is based most fully on Phaedra. Eben is modeled on the character Hippolytus, whom Phaedra, the Abby figure, tries to seduce. Ephraim is likewise modeled on Phaedra's husband, Theseus. In Phaedra commits suicide, but in Desire Under the Elms, Abby murders her child. Abby murders a child. In both cases, a domestic triangle leads to a tragic death. Therefore, I conclude that Desire Under the Elms depict the mythical elements with the reminiscent of Greek tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuradha.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
with the analytical approach that you have adopted in presenting the paper. So your selection of topic is common, but you are doing it sincerely because you are trying to find out all the mythic elements in the drama. So try if you can modify the title and try if you can give some more highlights on the
Yes,
mythical object.
yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for you. Do you
Yes,
think O'Neill, as a modern dramatist, modern American dramatist, is successful in putting in too many mythic elements in just one drama?
uh,
Is this success, or do you think it is he failed somewhere?
ma'am.
Because you have found out two, three mythic elements, almost three mythic
Yes,
elements
ma'am.
here.
Yes,
So he was putting in too many mythic elements in one drama. So he was
yes, ma'am.
successful in convincing the audience, or there are some flaws also.
Uh,
Just try it. It is just a kind
Ma'am,
of
I think,
comment.
ma'am, yes, ma'am, I think he is successful in as a modern dramatist.
Okay. In which way?
I'm
Because
sorry,
he could have
ma'am.
selected only the Adipas complex. That was enough, isn't it?
Yes,
But
ma'am.
he is also using the story of media also, isn't it?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
killing of
Yes,
the child
ma'am.
also. So too many elements in one drama. So
Yes, ma'am.
he was capable of incorporating it in a proper way, in a sequential pattern.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
is no confusion. So in that sense, he is very successful, and that's
Yes,
why
ma'am.
he is so popular.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
thanks all girls. I think most of the students have submitted and presented their papers today, who were supposed to present. From the student side, if anybody wants to comment, anyone? If you want to comment, if you want to ask any questions, if you want to share your experience, we have 2 minutes left.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Heatherstream.
Yes, ma'am. Um, it was a very good experience actually. We actually, I can now feel that I can gain a lot of confidence from this.
Okay.
In future also, I will try to give my best. Not I know today I was not able to add all my efforts because of some nervousness actually. But in future, I will give my best, ma'am. Uh, that's all.
Thank you, Kaibasri. You are actually trying to speak. That's something else very much necessary. We are actually trying to make you speak. You should be vocal because you are learning English literature. Only writing will not be enough. You will be able to present the paper properly, as Rajashri ma'am said. You have to think critically. If you want to pursue the measure seriously, then you have to think critically. And most of you are successful in bringing in all the critical elements in your writing, okay? But it should be modified. We are just suggesting that if it is 50%, you have to make it up to at least 90%, okay? So that is necessary on your part. This is my suggestion. Anyone? Any more comment? Priyanjali, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you wanna comment?
Um, I just want to say that as of now, everything is very much virtual. So I think obviously COVID is not going away very soon, and we'll have to stick to all virtual media for our future studies, or we'll have more presentations. So in a way, it is preparing us for that, and also uh, it has given us confidence and all that. The speaking, it will enhance our speaking skills, and so in that way this is very helpful. And also, like, the subjects, the themes and the topics that everybody is talking or presenting, it will also help us with our studies. We get more ideas, and also our exams are coming, so that is also very helpful. So, and thank you to the professors for your patient listening and time. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanjali. So with Melissa's concluding comment, we want to wind up.
Now, see, Kritanjali, this initiative of yours is very excellent, as we have the feedback from our students. It's a kind of an encouragement to their, speaking and their deliberation. So I think it should go on. And I think apart from the grammatical mistake, while especially at a time of virtual presentation in the form of PPT. Otherwise, I think the normal way of delivering the lecture is okay. There is no problem. But anyhow, let me tell you, it's a good presentation, good initiative, and it should go on. At least it's a way of training them for future.
Thank you, Millie, for staying there and inspiring all the students, motivating them. Uh, it's Rajashri, you are
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
One
Yeah.
comment.
Um, Ma'am, really a great initiative from your part. This is the first departmental online seminar presentation we are having since the the after COVID scenario. This is the first time I think in the history of English department that this is the first online or virtual seminar we are having with our students, with our 6M students. So thank you to you. And I would like to share one of my observation. See, we all have switched off our videos, right? So when you present, like when we do our classes, most of the time we switch on our video mode. So you know that this is a formal presentation which is being assessed by the department for your internal assessment. So in that case, in your future, this is only a suggestion from my part. If you can make it possible in your house, in a comfortable area, properly sit down, just switch on your video if you can, otherwise it becomes at a time very monotonous to just listen to your voice. So when we can see your facial, maybe I'm too much used to the old tradition of having the classroom kind of teaching and learning thing. But if possible from your end, always try to, when you speak or give the proper presentation, then try to switch on your video for at least 5 minutes. That is the first observation. Second observation is that I have heard almost maybe 9 papers. Due to some problem, I had to just go out from the medium. In that case, from whatever I have heard Kaibashri, Narmata, Nimisha, Sumis, Sunaina, Tushti, Yasmin, Arfi, and Anuradha's presentation. I don't know about how others did. Maybe you all have fared quite well. One of my observation is that you all are already into a sixth semester and you all are in a time when you don't know what your results will turn out to be. Of course, from our department, all of us, we teachers will try to give you the best of grades that we can for the internal assessment. But see, when you are going to the larger realm, maybe the job field, maybe the higher studies, it is you who will fight. We will be left after 6 months or 8 months or 1 year. You know, in that case, if you don't try to garner your talents or inculcate your good habits or best habits at this moment, then you'll really face difficulty in the later time or the times to come. So in that case, I would like to say that, like what I always say, tend to be a bit critical. Try to improve on your grammar. Try to improve your speaking skills, and try to be, when you present a paper, search on Google or search for YouTube videos how to present a paper. There are certain tactics. Maybe if you would have been in front of us, maybe we could have shown you certain things, your facial expressions, the way you stand, the way you present, the way you speak. It's not necessary to always be without the paper and speaking, okay, with all hand movement and all. But when you speak up, when you present a paper, there are certain ethics that you need to maintain. Try to improve on that. Otherwise, it's a very wonderful presentation. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rajashri, for your so useful insights. I also think that if they would have used the audiovisual mode, then this could have been more interesting. But due to some network issues, also some students may not be using it, and maybe you are not have that much confident. Okay, that's why you may not be using the video mode. But this could have been more interesting, definitely. So in future, we will try to do that in that way. It may be a kind of verbal discussion. It may not be a seminar presentation. It can be any kind of discussion we can do in both in the audio visual mode, just only not only just audio mode. So that we will try to do in
Yes.
future.
That
And
can be
Dilipar
done.
is always there. We will arrange something else for you on behalf of English Development Society. So in
Mm.
that way, maybe we can arrange some kind of like a cultural program also. Maybe some other discussions also. So that is necessary because nowadays physically we are not in touch. So we are arranging continuously this kind of things because the normal online classes, these are very monotonous. I feel it very monotonous. We feel disconnected from you. We are just feeling like lifeless, okay, without you because we are existing only because of you. If we cannot see you properly, so I do not feel that there is no charm in teaching you. So, because of these reasons, we are arranging different kind of extracurricular events for you, so that you will feel lively, you will feel less panic, feel more interested, more lively in your life, because this is a very depressing situation for all of us, and we have to face this situation. It's a challenge, and we have to it positively. And so, with our minimum effort, whatever maximum we can gain, that is necessary in this particular situation. This is just a kind of curtain raiser. This is the beginning. So, in future, we are going to continue in this. I hope you will really cooperate with us. I'm happy to announce here, because Rajasthan Minister is also there. So we are going to collaborate with GCT College. They are going to arrange one workshop, maybe 2 days or 1 day workshop. I'm not sure. So they are asking us for collaboration. It will be on content writing. It's a very booming topic now. So I will definitely provide you the information later on. Those who are interested in creative writing, definitely it will be something interesting for you. So this is how we will continue. We will survive and we will continue. So with that positivity, with that positive note, thanking you all. Good night, all of you. So those students who are not presenting today, get ready for presentation. That is on 12th July. That is Monday. Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
ma'am. Good
Thank you, ma'am.
night,
Good
sir.
night, sir.
Thank you,
Good night,
ma'am.
sis.
Thank you,
Good night.
sir.
Bye bye.